What's up YouTube, this is Joe from Zephyr Digimon, and I'm bringing to you guys the deck that I took to the 3v3 at the Glasgow Regionals, and that is Sakuyamon. So I've been really enjoying Sakuyamon since all the brand new support that's just recently come out for it. I started primarily playing around messing just around my tower loop just because I found the concept of that to be hilarious. Obviously, I felt very naughty playing it, but, you know, we play what we play just to have a laugh. But as I notice more and more that the optimal way to play Sakuyamon is actually via Sakuyamon as a stat-based deck. And utilizing the list that got first place at an event in Japan, I made a small change because I didn't own... I didn't have the access to one of the champions at the time. The deck just performed really well. I really enjoy playing it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, in the sense of like how you need to climb, how you need to manage your option cards, what's more important to see, what's not important to see, when do you play certain cards, etc, etc. But as you get more and more playing it, and see how the deck counteracts certain opponents, certain matchups, certain board states, you'll see the power potential and the greatness that the deck can actually do now in the game, as opposed to what used to be was just like a fun janky deck. So before I get into the profile, if you enjoy this, give us a like and subscribe down below. Ding that notification bell, because obviously if you enjoy posting content here on YouTube, you don't want to miss out on that content, and that notification bell helps prevent that. And all that's greatly appreciated, and thank you guys so much for the support that you've been giving us. So let's get into Sakuyamon. So we play 4 copies of the EX2 Viximon. When your turn, when you use once per turn, you use an option card that costs 2 or more, you get to draw a card from your deck. You have low levels of your lower stages in the deck, and just your evolution line, because you need so much room for the options in the deck. So having access to the Viximon so that when you do use an option, you're seeing more combo pieces as you climb up the chain, means this is a very good mandatory for. 4 copies of the EBT17 Renamon. This is like the best searcher in the deck, and I really want to have 2 more copies of this art. It's beautiful art. But yeah, 4 copies of this. This is your best search in the deck. Lets you look on play top 3 cards of your deck, add anything in the Sakuyamon evolution line except Renamon, and either Rika or an option card that is monocolor, that is cost 2 or higher. So this searches everything in your deck. The fact they can add any option card, so long as it's monocolor with 2 or more costs, means that you just have such versatility in what you can grab with this card, as opposed to previous Renamons, where they can only add Rika or only add plugin. So this being able to search everything in your deck is absolutely fantastic. The inherent that when you do use an option card that costs 2 or more, you get to give -1 security check to one of your opponent's Digimon. Means that if you are up against an aggressive deck you can't remove quickly, or during that turn, you just get to stun it so they can't actually utilize that card very well. 3 copies of the EX2 Renamon. This is another one of your on-play searches, but it whiffs all of your options in the deck, as it can only grab anything in the evolution line except Renamon and 1 Rika. The inherent, though, is very important for your stacks at times, because when you do use an option card that costs 2 or more, you gain a memory. So this is primarily the one you want to hard play, and this is primarily the one you want to start your stack with. Obviously, if you had to flip it around, you had to flip it around. You see what you see, you play what you can. But that is the ideal way that you kind of like want to start your stacks going, and who you want to on play. But yeah, really great card for the deck. Does get you to see all your pieces. Again, the only thing that you do with is a lot of options. Luckily, you have a lot of options in the deck, so you're going to be seeing your options at some point, and you have other ways to see your options too. And then 2 copies of Renamon X Antibody from EX8, can Evo for 0 on a Renamon, and on play when dissolving, you may return an option card with plugging in its name from your trash to your hand. I rarely managed to get that effect off, but it does come up sometimes, and having the option to do that, get your pause plugins and green plugins from your trash, really does help you climb up that stack again, if you have to do a crackback or build a second stack. The inherent is that when you do use an option card with cost 2 or more, you get to minus 2k one of your opponent's Digimon. This helps with your DP reduction strat in deck as your main form of removing Digimon. So great addition to the deck. Moving into the champions, we have 4 copies of the BT19 Kyubimon. This is following on from the new trend of tamer players, where if you have one of your tamers, you get to play the tamer of that archetype, which in this case is Erika. The inherent of minusing 2k as well. Again, further reduction of your opponent's Digimon, allowing you to remove those pesky megas. Great Kyubimon, probably like the best one at the moment because it's so easy to now play your tamers. The other champions in the deck are 2 copies of the EX7 Starmons and 1 copy of the BT18 Wizardmon. The original list played 1 copy of, I believe, the EX2 Kyubimon. I'm not sure exactly, but it was one of the Kyubimons that when Digivolving you can either you can trash a plugin to draw 2 or recur a plugin from trash. I unfortunately didn't have those on hand, but I did have the Wizardmon, so I went for the Wizardmon for the extra protection within the stack. But when Digivolving, you do get to trash your top security to draw a card and gain in memory, so it is adding a little bit of consistency like the Kyubimon potentially could do that I didn't have. But so I didn't really miss the extra Kyubimon. Actually, I did think Wizardmon did perform really well with that inherentable protection, allowing me to safely climb up into my stack. So both of them are pretty much, in my opinion, interchangeable. Starmons didn't actually come up, but I understand why it's here. So the on-play when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. You're mostly using this for the inherentable blocker, as one of your Sakuyamons doesn't have blocker, and when you get to Sakuya X in your level 7s, you lose that barrier as well. So having that protection, being able to stick to your evolution line when you don't get into that certain Sakuya. But again, didn't really come up too much. I was mostly evolving into my Kyubimon and my Wizardmons. It's probably just because I didn't really see it, but I understand why it's there. The 4 cost drop is also pretty nice. It could come up for you. But yeah, these cards are very nice for the deck. But if you don't like this or you want to see more Kyubimons, these are interchangeable as you see fit. And then moving on to the ultimates, 4 copies of the best Talmon in the deck, and that is from BT17. She herself has barrier, and when Digivolving, you may use an option card with plug in its name or option card that's yellow with a cost of 2, with a cost reduction of 2. So you can use any option in your deck, it's just reducing the cost to use it. Being able to just use any plugin or any of your yellow options means this card is very versatile in what you can play. And being able to just evolve into this, then use the option, climb up to your level 8, level 6 for no memory. The only thing you cost is the Talmon, which a lot of times I was training it down for 1. Really means that you climb up your stacks so super quickly. Your opponent's just going to be like gobsmacked, you know, like Jesus Christ. The inherent is also absolutely fantastic and really does help with your combo line, which I'll show you a quick combo at the end of the video if I remember. Which is if you're named Sakuya and you attack, you get to use an option card with a plug in its name or yellow from your hand with a cost reduction of 2, which essentially is just its main effect. Having barrier means that you can just do a swing with this Talmon, get a cheeky check, go into use a plug and go into your level 6. If you go climb up into Sakuya X, you get to then swing with its Wash token and then unsuspend your stack and then just do it again. Absolutely fantastic. You'll see the combo again at the end. Then we're playing 1 copy of the Talmon Ace. As you can see, it's a very different playstyle and deck construction as opposed to Talmon Loop. You're more focusing on this Talmon being able to just climb up your stack and with the inherent climb up even further. Whereas opposed to Talmon Loop, you're prioritizing this and you're going wider. So with this deck, you're going more up. This deck, you're going a bit more wide. This is like the 5th best, the 2nd best Talmon you want to use in your deck. So now we have 5 good Talmons to actually use, as this on Digivolving and on play gets to use an option card. There's a time in the Royal matchup in the best of 3. where she gave me 4 memory, and I was able to just go into on play this, play an option, tap over Rico, gaining in memory, climb up into Sakuya, and then just literally go wide from there. I was able to just manipulate the field, get rid of some of the aces that she kind of had on the field, gaining me some memory, and then just literally go wide. Unfortunately, did do a misplay at the end of that where I didn't go into Chaosmon. I had so much cards in my hand, I actually just didn't see it. I was just kind of like, my like blindsided, just like, oh, I need to remove the last one. I don't want them to get the extra stack. Which some cases is very important, but in that matchup, I should have just like took a bit more time, look at my hand, let my teammate look at my hand as well, and go into that Chaosmon, stunning the field so they couldn't actually do the Omniplaguing, and I would have actually won. So, fortunately it happens, but, you know, we all misplay. Moving on to the level 6s, we're in 2 copies of the BT17 Sakuyamon. This lovely lady has Barrier, and when digivolving, you may give one of your opponent's Digimon 6,000 DP to the end of your turn, then you get to use an option card with plug-in its name or is yellow. Cost of 5 or lower without paying the cost. Again, this just really helps you get into those either higher stacks or more further reduction with the use of a plugin, a pause plugin. And your turn, once per turn, when you do use an option card, you do get to not be returned to hand or deck until the end of your opponent's turn, which is a great way to just be further sticky on your opponent's field. Having a near unremovable stack means that you are going to be safely keeping your field until your next turn. She does have Barrier, so they can't just punch over her as long as you have security, and now they can't return it to the hand or deck as well. So the only thing they're going to be doing this is removing it via DP reduction or de-digivolve, which is very, very nice. 2 copies of Sakuyamon from BT19. This is a when digivolving, draw 2 cards, then you get to use an option card that's plug it in its name or yellow with play cost of 5 or less without paying the cost. And when you do use an option card, you get to spawn a Pepe Fox token, which is yellow 6k and a blocker. So do bear in mind that with these Sakuyas, to get their additional benefits of when you use an option card, they have to remain on the field as the option card is resolving. So if you use an option card and digivolve into something, you're not going to get the extra benefit. So just do bear that in mind as you're comboing off. And 2 copies of absolutely amazing card, which is Sakuyamon X Antibody. This card is absolutely insane for your combo lines and your stacking. She can evolve for 1 on a Sakuya, and she costs 4 to evolve. When digivolving, if Sakuyamon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's evolution cards, you get to play a Yuka no Mita token, which is yellow 9k DP and has Rush. All turns once per turn with one of your Digimon attacked, you may use a single color option card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand without paying the cost. If this effect used, one of your Digimon on suspense. So you get to see in the combo at the end how well this card just synergizes with all of your options and your comboing on like what you can do, how you can process your turns, to really get aggressive checks in this deck, as well as big disruptive Evo stacks. So absolutely an amazing card. I do really like the 2/2/2. There was moments where I just did not see a Sakuya until like late in the game, which kind of cost me, but I believe that was also the Royal Knight match. So which again I could have won if I just went into Chaosmon Volder, which we'll see in a minute. Level 7s, this is 2 copies of Ruin Mode and 2 copies of Volder Arm. Ruin Mode is Ruin Mode. You know, if you in this Shine matchup, I got like the 10k reduction twice in the match, just like really stopping them from playing what they wanted, how they wanted to. Absolutely, you know, disgusting card. But Chaosmon Volder Arm, brand new card that came to the game, BT920. So it has sec +1, partition, yellow and green and black. So you're not going to be getting that partition. When Digivolving, for each of this Digimon's level 6 evolution cards, spend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers and then gain 1 memory. So the way that this is worded, as I know, like one of my mates was kind of like questioning how much you're going to be getting of this. Actually, no, it was one of my, it was actually the Chaosmon opponent I had during the actual event. If you have, let's say, Sakuya X, and Volderarm, even if they have 1 tamer and your opponent has 1 tamer, you suspend their 1 tamer, but then you gain 2 memory. So it's checking not only, it's checking how many is here, and it gets to do a suspension and gain a memory. So you don't have to suspend 2 things to gain the 2 memory. You suspend as many as you can up to the number, and then for up to the number, you gain a memory as well. So the fact that we are an X deck means that you are going to get essentially that DNA extra 2 memory without actually DNA. But yeah, its extra effect is that then none of the opponent's Digimon or Tamers can activate on-play effects or unsuspend until the end of the turn. So this is the misplay that I did in the Royal Knights, is that if I went into this instead of using a plugin to reduce evolution, I would have been able to stop the Omnimon play from actually doing the on-play, popping the Yggdrasil and like swarming the board from there. So if I actually did go into this, if I saw it in my hand, and took a little bit more time, so it just shows like taking your time in those important turns is very important. So do bear that in mind. I would have actually won the game. Such a good card. Moving on to Tamers, we have 4 copies of the BT19 Rika. This is like the best Rika that Sakuyamon actually has now. So glad I managed to pick up my 4th copy of the full art. So on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with Renamon, Cubimon, Talmon, or Sakuya to your hand, and 1 option card with plugin in its trait and its name. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. So unfortunately, it does with everything in your deck that isn't a plugin. And that isn't part of the Sakuya line, but it didn't come up too much. There was times where I was just like bottom decking like a lot of things, like everything, but like it's very important to them because it's your turn effect is that when you do use an option card that costs 2 or more by suspending this time, you get to gain a memory. So there are times where you get to use like a training, for example, put your opponent to 2, tap Rika, gain 1. So you do get to memory choke quite a lot in this deck now via the Rika. But this is absolutely a phenomenal card. Really does help you do your climbs, putting turns back so you don't actually pass in turn. Like this is absolutely phenomenal Rika. You don't really need to play any other Rika, in my opinion. Moving on to the options cards now, like a huge stack, like a huge stack of options. We're playing 4 copies of physical training. You do need to see cards in this deck, so you do need to play 4 trainings and 2 members. If you like the memory boost more, go for the memory boost. I would then go 4 boost, 2 trainings, but you do need to have 6 option cards that are yellow that do get to see cards in your deck. As seeing cards in your deck is very, very important. 4 copies of yellow scramble. You do need to have your evolution cards. So we have the 4 scrambles and the 3 evolution plugin S's. The reasoning for this is that you have multiple ways to see the scramble, the evolution plugin via like Rika and Renamon. You have ways to get back via Renamon X. You just have so many ways to get access to this card, but also the big downside to this over something like Yellow Scramble is that to actually use this card, you need to have the Rika on field as you have no green in your deck. Chaosmon doesn't count because it's your level 7, so by the time you got into this, you didn't need it, obviously, or you've already used it. So this is why we've gone for a 4-3 split. But yeah, great cards. Being able to just get you draws as well is absolutely great for your combo lines. Sometimes you'll be comboing up, not have everything, but use the scramble, draw into the actual level 6, and then you can actually evolve into it, which is absolutely fantastic. And to round out the deck is 2 copies of Pause plugin. This is a great form of removal and stun for the deck, as you get to reduce one of your opponent's Digimon by 6,000 DP to the end of their turn, and they can't activate that Digimon's when Digivolving effects. These security effects that you reduce them by 6,000 for the turn, and then add this card to your hand, so that way you get to use it on your actual next turn. But that's it for the deck. I will move to the quick combo and how the Sakuya and the Sakuya X actually interact with each other. So I'll be back in a minute. And we're back. So I'm going to quickly show you guys how to do the main combos is like why Sakuya X is actually like super strong in this deck, and the things that you can do in this deck that Talon Loop doesn't necessarily have the room to unfortunately do. So it all benefits and stems from the Talon here from BT17, and then like your options of Sakuyamons that you actually want to evolve into. These can even be like Kazuhas if you really want to like utilize that card and go wide kind of like playstyle, but ideally this is like the things that you kind of need. So you get to get into the Talon. She gets you to use an option card for a cost of 2 or less from your hand. So you could either at this point use something like your Evolution plugin or your Yellow Scramble to get you into one of your 2 Sakuyamons here. So ideally you probably want to get into the Sakuyamon. This one, and she does have the barrier ability, so she can actually survive a check, as she essentially does have jamming. But if you do have the Starmons here in your stack, you could actually then go into this Sakuyamon, who can then just like get you further draws in your deck. But let's just say we go into this Sakuyamon via like an Evolution plugin here. So we can do my 6k DP, get our protection. You can then use an option card, so with via both of these Sakuyas. At this point, I would then use something like the physical training or memory boost, so that way you're not actually climbing off the stack yet, and you get to do that a little bit later on. So you get to use your consistency, and then you actually get to do a swing here. So you get your swing with the barrier, or if you didn't go into this but you had like the barrier inherent, you can swing with this one. Or if you don't have this, I probably wouldn't swing with this as of yet. So if that way, I would probably then just swing with this and then go into the Sakuyamon here. Either way, you're getting your first check here, and your Sakuyamon is now suspended. You will then go and use your 1 memory that you probably gained off like Eureka and go into your Sakuyamon X antibody. The Sakuyamon X then lets you spawn out a token. So we're going to spawn out the token. This token now has Rush. So then you can go and spring with this Rush token. Now that a Digimon attacks, she can now use an option card. So again, in this instance, if you wanted to get multiple checks here, you would then probably play again something like a physical training, something that doesn't force you to evolve, which then lets you now unsuspend one of your Digimon. You probably either want to unsuspend the Sakuyamon or unsuspend the token, whichever one is more beneficial to you in that matchup. I'm going to go for the most optimal value, because this then also shows what Sakuyamon X can do on her own via the Talon inherit. So we're going to unsuspend the Sakuyamon X. The token can live, it can die, it doesn't really matter to you now. Now we'll go and swing with the Sakuyamon X antibody. Via the Talon inherent, because you are called a Sakuyamon name, you get to use an option card from your hand with a reduction of 2. At this point, we will use the Yellow Scramble here. It's very important that it is a Yellow Scramble. From here, you have 2 options. You can either go into a Chaosmon Bold Arm. You can net you 2 memory back for free, as well as get security tap +2. So you're now doing an additional 2 checks here in this instance. In total, 4 checks in total. 1 from here, 1 from here, 2 from here. And then locking your opponent out from using on-play effects for this hand. Or if you need to really control the board and wipe out your opponent's stacks, you can go into a Shine Grey 1 Brewing mode, doing a 5k blanket on your opponent's field via the when digivolving. Now at end of attack, you get to delete itself, do another 5k minus, delete something that hasn't been killed by the DP minus, and recover a security and hatch an egg, which is absolutely fantastic. And these are the things that you can now, and combos that you can do via the Sakuyamon and Talmon, which is absolutely fantastic. You have so many ways to get into the stack. You can get into these stacks and plays very, very easily now in this deck via the consistency that we have access to. It just really shows that you can do so much with the Sakuyamon X, depending on the matchup and the order and of which you do your plays. So, guys, I hope this profile and combo helped you out a lot. If you have access to Sakuyamon cards and you really like Renamon as either a Digimon character or deck in the game, do give this a try. The ratios do seem a bit weird and odd as opposed to previous iterations in the game, but trust me, it's so worth it. It's so fun, and you will see the power and plays that this deck can do. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. Stay tuned. Until next time, as always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.